before ayahuasca, it was a lot of depression and anxiety and hopelessness. I struggled with that for most of my life, and then I grew up in a religious house, and so with a lot of rules, and I kind of got to the point where I just rejected all of that, and the rejection also came with a lot of anger. So I kind of got into a point in my life where I believe in absolutely nothing. I thought that the human experience was just to live and suffer and then just die, and my kind of lifestyle and beliefs and everything, the narrative of that was something that I reinforced and bought into, and that's kind of how I live my life. So I don't think I had a normal calling to ayahuasca like some people say they do. I had a series of coincidence and synchronous events that happened over the course of like 12 years that eventually led me to ayahuasca. So about 12 years ago, my dad had an incident where he had to go to a mental health facility, and he saw a doctor there. That eventually got resolved, and then about 6 or 7 years later, I ended up going to a mental health facility. I checked myself into one, and it happened to be the doctor treating me happened to be the same doctor that was seeing my dad in a completely different city, 8-9 hours away from where my dad was. Then, at some point, that doctor recommended a therapist who eventually recommended ayahuasca. That's what kind of led me to do it. I was at a point, though, in my life that was desperation. I had tried everything. I had tried antidepressants. I tried different kinds of therapy. I tried medicating with alcohol. And so at that point, it was just, I was going to try whatever. I would have taken it in the therapist's office in that moment. I just wanted to make sure that it was a place that was like legitimate and safe, and the person doing it knew what they were doing. So after the therapist presented the opportunity to do the ayahuasca, it was about 10 days before the ceremony start that I agreed to. And a girl that I'd been in a relationship and I'd been dating said that she was going to come visit in where I was living in the same day of the ceremony. So before the start of the ceremony, I decided I'm not going to do it. I'm going to see her instead. And the relationship wasn't the most healthy relationship. It was something where, would there be getting together and then going to park, getting together, going to park. It was in a cycle for a long time. And then it was about 2 days before the ceremony started, and I am in my car outside of the casino by myself, and I get a text message that says, from the girl that says, I'm going to come into Vegas and I'm not going to be seeing you. And as a result, I was very frustrated and saying very negative things about just this person, women in general, just expressing a large amount of frustration. And I decide, well, I'm going to do the ceremony then. So I go into the first ceremony. I'm not nervous to take it. I'm nervous of just the person doing it in the environment, but I immediately felt very comfortable and safe with the person who was doing it. It ended up being with the same shaman that we are now using for the retreats. He very humble, knowledgeable, calm, and explained exactly how it was going to work. So in the ceremony, I happened to be the person who went first as far as taking it. So I take it first, and 4 hours go by, and nothing happens for me, not a single thing. Meanwhile, it's It's what you would expect from an ayahuasca ceremony from everybody else. There's people that are laughing and crying and throwing up and having a very powerful experience. And I'm sitting there frustrated, wondering if nothing was ever going to work for me. While I am sitting there, I'm writing about some of the trauma, some of the things that had happened with my dad a long time ago. And then in my frustration, there was an individual that came over and said, I'm a healer, can I help you? And I think it's very important to bring up the fact that at this point in my life, I had no belief system whatsoever. I was completely atheist. I believe you live, you suffer, and you die. So I had nothing to lose. In my head, I thought it was nonsense, healer, but she sat down, and then the first thing she said was, she said, wow, you're really channeling your dad right now. And then I just said out loud, I said, that's bullshit. You saw me write it in my journal. She responded with, she said, it's dark in here, I don't have my glasses on. And then she took out a blindfold. And then she started telling me all these specific things that had happened with my dad. She started telling me things that had happened with the situation at work. She started telling me specific habits in my life that I needed to change, and very specific. And again, like I'm aware of like what cold reading is. So my mind time is just racing to figure out an answer to this, a logical explanation. And then at some point, it connects, and I realize, the therapist I've been seeing has told me, and I've told her all of this, and that's the solution. They got together, and somehow they're playing an elaborate joke on helping me. So in this moment of skepticism, where I find a logical explanation, the woman in front of me says, why were you saying such bad things about women in your car yesterday? And that was an incident that had just happened. I hadn't told anybody about it. I was not on the phone. I was not around anyone. And in that moment, I basically had as close as what you can call to a death of ego. Everything I'd known up to that point was wrong. And in that moment, I had a complete release of emotions, a complete release of everything, and my perspective changed. My perspective on the world, myself, everything changed in that moment. And I started crying, and it was complete, beautiful change, drastic, like a release of emotions, and then just a complete shift in perspective that happened in a span of just a few seconds. All of the incidents that had happened in the past were something that were traumatic, and I looked at them with a lot of, why me, the victim? Why did the things happen to me? The things that had happened with my father, with depression, with anxiety. It was a complete change in perspective. I looked at the things that had happened in the past with some amount of gratitude, an acceptance that some of them were necessary. Because if those things wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. If any one of those tiny things would have changed, it wouldn't have happened. And I at the time too, I had a lot of anger and resentment, and towards the girl too, towards the relationship that didn't work out. And now I have an appreciation towards her and more understanding of where other people are coming from. Just a complete change in perspective as far as gratitude and perspective and why things happen. I felt better than I ever had. Better than I could remember having felt. It's the best thing I'd ever done for mental, spiritual health. And I decided I'm going to do this basically once a month. And the changes happened where I started to change. They happened quick enough too where other people started to recognize the changes, positive changes. And it happened in all areas. It happened mentally, physically, spiritually. I lost probably 60 pounds in a span of like 8 months just from exercising, eating healthier. And it wasn't like this magic fix, but it illuminated a path that I'd never seen before. So I decided I'm going to do this once a month, and the changes kept progressing, and people were wondering why. People wanted to know what was happening. I was starting to get asked by people that were close friends, and also people I hadn't seen before, because they were seeing like pictures on Facebook where I looked different. And then I had a ceremony as well about 6 months later from the first one, where I also just got this overwhelming call that I needed to do something that helped people. And that, along with people that were curious, there was a lot of just other synchronous situations that happened that led me here. Well, I started Mexisoul as just a way to give something back to something that is very, very beneficial for me, and I wanted the rest of humans to experience it. And I also created this with the intention in mind that it's for everybody. The stereotypical image, I guess, of an ayahuasca retreat is mostly a specific group of people. It's shirtless dudes in the jungle with dreadlocks. And this has been something that it really, truly has been for everybody. So there's an expression, it's the plant is ready for everybody, everybody's not ready for the plant. But I truly believe that, because we've had all walks of life here. We've had chiropractors, we've had business people, we've had pediatric physicians, and it's really incredible too to just get. Everyone needs healing. Everyone needs healing, and this is something that is for everybody. And the amount of transformation is incredible. Honestly, it is really gratifying and satisfying to be able to witness people's transformations, to be a part of their process, to do it with like love and respect, and to see such a high success rate of what this can do for people. Mexisoul retreats take place at a location in Mexico called the Finca. It's a large working ranch with a lot of space. And really this is a project of love, compassion. We're welcoming of all people, and we respect everybody's beliefs and processes. And it's a safe, non-judgmental place where people can be themselves, express themselves, and just release a lot of the things that they've been holding on to. Members of the staff here are really friendly, empathetic. Almost everyone has done plant medicine themselves. And what's really important is the support, the compassion, this level of care that we have for the people coming. But one of the things that are really important for us is just other people's safety and comfort. And so everyone here that's serving and supporting the ceremonies has that in mind. The shaman is here. He has years of experience. He's got his training in Peru. You know, he believes that there's not good people, there's not bad people, there's just humans. Humans living an experience. Everyone serving in this ceremony kind of has the same idea of this process of respect. And then we also have members on staff who have background in traditional psychology as well as plant medicine. So it's kind of a two-part of being able to help people and guide people through plant medicine, and then also guide people outside of ceremony through some of the mental aspects, the health aspects, and just the life aspects. So this is an experience that is challenging. It can be emotional. There are parts that are difficult, but that's also what we're here for. Me, myself, the staff, the volunteers, we're all here to help you go and guide you through this experience. Ultimately, it is something that is very life-changing. It's very beneficial, and I'm excited to have everyone come. I'm happy. Reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm happy to talk about more specific with this place. I'm happy to answer questions, address fears, and I really encourage anyone who has the willingness and the readiness to do this, because it is truly life-changing.